This week we're going to finish the book of Leviticus. We're going to read two Parashas, Behar and Bechukosai. And the second of these two Parashas speaks about the consequence of what happens if we turn our back on God. If we live with God consciousness and we follow in God's ways and we understand our connection and we strive to connect ourselves to the divine, then we will be showered with, the consequence is blessings of peace and prosperity and clarity and all the things that we yearn for. However, we are then introduced to many verses, 29 precisely, that speak about what happens if we turn away from God. And the language in the Torah says that what will happen when we turn our back on God, and the word for that is keri. This word keri is repeated many times in this second portion of the Torah that we read this week. What happens when we treat God with keri, with casualness, when we see the world as random? There's no meaning in the world. When we live without a God consciousness, where we feel like we understand or we think that there's no meaning to life and to suffering, where it's all just coincidence, it's all just fate. That way of thinking, says God, will lead you astray. Don't go down that path. Turn towards God, not away from God. And I think that's the message I'd like to share with us today. The message is that there are consequences to our thinking, that this world is a one where we are enjoined to see God, to not deny God, and especially when there's suffering and when we're hurt and we see the suffering of others, to not turn away from God, to not say it's happenstance and that there's no meaning. The flip of that is there is meaning. However, we don't understand what the meaning is. We don't understand how things happen the way they do. And yet, our Jewish tradition and our Torah is teaching us that God is good and God is loving, especially when we're suffering, especially when there's hardships and we see other people suffering. It's for us to step up and say, God is in this place. And this is for a reason. And there is meaning in this, even if I don't understand it, that there is so much in this world that is hidden from us. And even Moses, our beloved teacher, who was a man like no other, who had a relationship with God like no other, when he went up into the heavens, he asked God to teach him, to explain to him why things happen the way they do. And God says, you cannot see me and live. You cannot know my ways in this world. You cannot see me and live is interpreted to mean that when you die, when you move into the world of truth, you will understand everything. But right now, in this world, this lower world, this world of hiddenness, we will not understand God's ways. So this Torah portion is coming to teach us to turn towards God, not away from God, especially when we are suffering, when there's hardships, when we want to find and we want to understand. That's especially when we should say, I know God is here, and now I have to do my best to live with that God consciousness.